Thank you. Welcome back. Here to talk to you about energy risk engineering. We're going to look about AI-driven innovations and use cases. And I know it's been a while since I've been on, and I know I promised you a video on asset integrity management. It's already recorded, at least the practice draft session is, but I had so many new ideas come about as I was developing that video regarding AI use cases, and I wanted to take you through just what it is that I've been seeing out there. So let's jump into it. There we go. We're going to look at several AI apps. I'm not going to show you how to use ChatGPT or Notebook LM. I'll mention them. I'll tell you which ones I used for which use cases, but really I just want to show you how to use artificial intelligence as a risk engineer and get more out of your computer. Alrighty, so let's get into it. And so the first thing I did was I asked ChatGPT to explain a process flow diagram, and I'll talk to you about all the things that we're going to cover today, and just let you know what to stick around for. So I asked it to show us, to basically tell me what it was looking at and then suggest improvements in the process. Creating podcasts from research materials. Sure, if you've been anywhere around YouTube, you already know about Notebook LM and how to create awesome podcasts or audio overviews. And I'm going to show you how to analyze an insurance policy and some shop invoices to find out if the damage was covered or not by a claim. And I used it to spec out risk engineering for a storage building for a generator step-up transformer in a building in the north. Used it to analyze the base oil production of a refinery just from a picture. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. And we created a claims success podcast, taking some brochures from claims wins and turning them into a podcast. I wrote 5 2-page PSM light procedures to help somebody who's not covered by PSM adopt sort of the PSM ideas as far as management of change and process safety information. And had it analyze hydraulics and the storage from just photographs. And we'll talk about that. From just being able to take pictures of hydraulic nameplates and pictures of the warehouse, I was able to determine if the existing sprinkler system was adequate or not. So let's jump into it. The first thing I did was I took a picture of a process flow diagram on the wall in a conference room, and I asked ChatGPT to explain it. And the next thing ChatGPT did was it said that it's an image of a process flow diagram for a refinery, and it knew exactly where it was, and it was detailing various units and processes involved in refining crude oil into different products. Here's a breakdown of the major components shown in this diagram. The crude oil units, and it talks about them and describes them: the diesel hydrotreater, lube oil hydrotreater, naphtha unifiner, the platformer. So then the manager of engineering asked me, can it improve the process? Well, I asked ChatGPT, was there any suggestions it had to improve the process? And it gave me a list of projects: heat integration, upgrading the fired heaters and boilers, cleaning the steam traps, replacing the insulation, increasing the hydrogen recycle efficiency, improving the catalyst, integrating hydroprocessing units. This thing was amazing. Compact distillation units, advanced control systems. They're already upgrading the control systems there. So even though AI suggests some of these things, they were in the process of improving their process. Optimizing the catalyst, automated shutdown, safe shutdown systems for ESD, advanced flare design, and advanced leak detection, sulfur recovery units. They're not going to run out of ideas to improve the process, folks. Okay, this facility, it's older and it's got a lot of opportunities. They are doing the digital transformation. It would be interesting to see if they adopted digital twins, something that we see a little bit of traction coming around with digital twins, and we'll talk a little bit more about those. I asked Notebook LM to turn YouTube video into a podcast. And then when it did it, I realized, oh, wow, this is just another forum to get information from. And I launched the Energy Risk Engineering podcast on Spotify and Apple. So you're tuning into the YouTube channel. I'm converting these YouTube videos into podcasts. Some folks, like to be able to listen on an airplane or in their car when they're not able to really watch the video. So it's not going to be just an audio transcript of this. It's going to be two people talking about the content that they got from this video. You know about my weblog over at Energy Risk Engineering Insights. And over there, I basically, whenever I have a question or a problem that I get AI to solve, I go post it over there so that other engineers can see the question and the solution so that they don't have to come up with the questions to ask AI. A lot of times people get stumped and don't know what to ask. I've asked hundreds and hundreds of questions, got hundreds of solutions over there for you, but I'm now turning those into podcasts. So if you don't like to read, you can listen. I had somebody on LinkedIn say they have trouble hearing, so they like to read. Well, I just referred them to the blog. So we've got it everywhere: YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and the weblog as well. So the other thing that I did, another thing was I uploaded an insurance policy and a few shop invoices for a gas turbine wreck that came across my desk. And I wanted to know, was there coverage? I can find coverage and I know where to look, but I just wanted to see what AI would do. It was phenomenal. I'm not showing you the actual records, but I'm just showing you some things that kind of give you the idea of what I put in. I put in an invoice that listed some damaged, parts on a gas turbine, and discussed some of the costs for the repairs. And then I also input the actual policy. I had the AI Notebook LM go in and read the policy, read the shop invoices, match them up, and tell me where the damage was possibly covered. And you can read it there for yourselves, but you can see this is just an example, and it was reading fictitious shop invoices. So I'm not really putting much into what this actual explanation was, but for the real one, it did turn me to the right parts of the policy so that I was much quicker at being able to assist our client in that. So then I get a request, an email came in from a plant manager. Hey, John, what requirements would an insurance company engineer have beyond code compliance for storage of a spare generator step-up transformer on our site? And their facility was in upstate New York. So I got to work, asked AI to help me develop some engineering specifications for loss control or for risk engineering. And one of the first things that jumped out at me was a redundant HVAC system. Okay, keep that in mind. Humidity management, physical protection, fire protection. That was interesting that it just off the bat recommended fire protection without really even talking about ignition sources or fuel loads. But having a GSU in there, it's probably going to be loaded with oil. So it's a good suggestion. Security measures, the loading, seismic protection, maintenance, emergency response. I was able to provide the plant manager this document, an email with this list of suggestions. At the same time that I said, I'll ask the insurance company engineer what they would like. And it came back with, the insurance company engineer came back with one or two things suggesting sprinklers, so that was good, so that they confirmed what AI thought was a good idea. And really what the client's going to use is that long list of all the suggestions. Next, I asked ChatGPT to analyze the base oil production at a refinery. I was in the conference room, and I just took a picture of a slide that the presenter had up on the screen, and it was the monthly production runs of this refinery. And I just asked it to analyze the base oil, and it was phenomenal what it did. I don't know a whole lot about the different products markets, but what it did was it told me that the base oil was one of the highest output categories on that sheet, so that facility was good at making base oil, and that it told me what base oil is used for. It's a raw material to make the motor oils and the lubricants that this facility manufacturers. And then it got into the values, right? As a risk engineer, we need to know what the values are. And if I look at a spreadsheet, I can see the production rates, but I don't have any idea how much it's worth. going through this, it told me the pricing dynamics, and it gave me real numbers, and it told me that it fluctuates out there on the market and gives me a range for in recent years. I mean, I'm sitting in this meeting, everybody else is talking about the report, and I have now all this intelligence about base oil that none of the other engineers have. The finance guy next to me, I'm sure, was aware of it, but it did the math, and it told us that the economic contribution was very significant. And, that helps when we're making risk management decisions or advice regarding protection of any equipment that produces this base oil. I asked Notebook LM to turn 5 claim success brochures into a podcast. So over the years, I've had some wins, and some of the successes have been converted to videos, which you can find on this channel, where I get into arguments with the adjusters, and we use policy language and real engineering, like when intergranular stress corrosion cracking is involved or high cycle fatigue's involved. We don't just let the adjuster buffalo us and tell us that it's fatigue, therefore it's not covered because that's wear and tear. That's crap. So anyway, we have several examples of where we've pushed back and we've had multi-million-dollar claims overturned and won. Turn that into a wonderful podcast, and you hear these two speakers just discuss the wins and how they came about, and the technical arguments that were brought, and the policy arguments that were brought. It's an awesome way to show what you do without just handing somebody a piece of paper that has your report. I had ChatGPT write 5 2-page PSM light procedures for a landfill gas operation. And what happened was a insurance company engineer went out to inspect these facilities. They had obviously come from the refining industry, because that's the way this report was written, as if these little 1 megawatt facilities that handle no liquids, that just gather methane from landfills, and they run it in a large truck engine, basically, and make electricity with a generator. These are not PSM facilities, but this engineer had several recommendations that were all geared towards making these facilities PSM. And obviously the management of the facilities was totally against it. And, I'm against it, and we can go fight it, but there was some value in keeping control of your hazards and keeping control of your design. So we used ChatGPT to write these landfill gas operations type light procedures so that they could implement just a PSM. They're just 2-pagers, and they'll get the process started. But in an unmanned facility, it really was a waste of time to have them try and do an MOC program. But with the new 2-page procedures, they're comfortable that, if they do have anything they want to change, they can look at that and say, yeah, we need to get it checked off by somebody off site before we go do this. So that was very quick and helpful. I asked Notebook LM to turn the NFPA 25 handbook into a podcast. Okay. And it's very careful to remind listeners that it's not verbatim from NFPA 25 or the handbook, but it's just 2 AI speakers discussing the contents of the handbook. So you'll learn a lot about NFPA 25 if you listen to that podcast. That's on Spotify and Apple. I asked Notebook LM to turn risk engineering reports into podcasts. You will not believe what a 30-page chemical engineering report sounds like in 10 to 15 minutes of 2 people explaining the process to you. It's much easier, and you can have them focus on the recommendations. You can have them focus on the MFLs. So, there's a little bit of customization you can do to these audio overviews, they're called in Notebook LM. Again, I'm not going to go through this video to show you how to do all that. They're out there. There's tons of videos showing you how to use Notebook LM and ChatGPT. I'm telling you what to use them for. All right. I asked Claude if NFPA 25 required fire watches during impairments, and the answer was no. But there was more to the answer, because I was really in an argument over whether NFPA 25 required it does definitely have requirements for impairments, but it doesn't require a fire watch, and it doesn't require a member of your structural fire brigade to be your fire watch at that. So NFPA 1 does require a fire watch. Again, not a member of your structural fire brigade. So anybody out there doing that, you're going above and beyond 2 standards now if you're posting members of your structural fire brigade in areas where you have impaired fire protection systems. But it was kind of good to know that it doesn't just tell me the answer, it goes out and tells me the information that I'm looking for. I couldn't believe an engineer submitted, this was, an insurance company engineer. This is not the picture they submitted, but they had a picture of several hydraulic nameplates that like the little square picture in the middle of this picture. And on a hydraulic nameplate, it tells you that what the system design is. And so what the concentration of water needs to be and, flow rates, pressures, and it tells you what, area that it's designed for. So it gives you an idea of, basically how much water this system's going to put out. Well, I took a picture of that. And I didn't need to take a picture of the IBCs, but I also took pictures of the IBCs. I wanted to know, would this system I'm looking at be adequate to protect this warehouse if they had stacked IBCs? And it wasn't, okay? The response came back very thoroughly, explained, what parts of the standards applied, what standards I could go to figure out whether this sprinkler system, set of sprinkler systems were going to protect the hazards that they were out there protecting. Well, they weren't, but I needed to know more. So it then took it the next step further, and it said that I can either increase the density, which is what all of us thought, and we were immediately saying, well, we need bigger water supply and bigger tanks, and that was the first thing. But they reminded us, this is AI, helpful, right? Use foam water. We don't have to always use more water. Foam water is great on flammable liquid fire. So that was, a great idea that came up. We still haven't, picked a solution yet, but it's amazing to know that from now on, all you need to do is take a picture of the hydraulic nameplates, take a picture of the storage, and say, will this work? And believe me, the work for fire protection engineers is going to go down. Yeah, everybody's afraid that you won't need them anymore, and AI is going to take everybody's jobs, blah, 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 whine. Learn how to use it, get out there ahead of everybody else, stay ahead of everybody. You'll be the first engineers that get hired because you're augmented with AI. You're not just ignoring it and put your head in the sand. I use Notebook LM to review a PDF of a spreadsheet. Now, Notebook LM right at this point doesn't just accept spreadsheets from Excel. So you have to PDF them, big deal. You print PDF it, but then put it in there and it'll analyze it just like it's a spreadsheet. So in this case, it didn't need to be a spreadsheet. There weren't a lot of calculations going on. It was just a list of trips that myself and another engineer in our group were going to be scheduled for next year. And the intelligence that came out of just having AI look at the trips that we were going to be on. And then to make a podcast about it was really cool because there are people in the chain of command and there are people that we're working for in a large company that don't get it. They don't know where we're going. And, it's going to be a whole lot easier for them to just listen to a few minutes of a podcast and audio than they are to just look at a spreadsheet. Yeah, so what? If none of their spots are on the list, they're not interested. If they see their spots down on the list, they may get interested and want to move it up. But it was a really neat podcast about a spreadsheet. All right. I asked ChatGPT to analyze several risk engineering reports from locations across the country. I was looking for insights about risk, and this is what's really neat too. One engineer can read all these reports, but not nearly as quickly as ChatGPT or Notebook LM can. And getting the insight from all of them is amazing because if you find common themes, that's your low-hanging fruit. That's where you want to go attack one problem to get it off 5 reports. So have it analyzed in bulk. Don't just look at one paragraph and say, rewrite this. I asked ChatGPT to look at a spreadsheet of more than 100 recommendations to pull out the 5 common themes. So you're getting the idea. There are a lot of things we can do with AI. And if you really need to learn how to use each of these applications, leave comments. I'll respond to comments. I do like when people reach out to me elsewhere in other ways, but to grow a community, we have to have community involvement here. And if you comment here, I can respond here. Others can see the comments and the responses and chime in. And believe it or not, YouTube videos become really valuable when there's a great community commenting on the videos, so that the rest of the community can share in that expertise. So I'm just here to kind of bring us all together, and I would like you to help join the community. And when you do, you're going to have a great experience. You'll be able to ask your questions, send me problems. I do like solving everybody's problems. I am getting to a video on how to interview for new risk engineering positions, and I will put out another video on being in a podcast, because I am looking to get guests to come out and join me on interviews and talk about energy risk engineering in future episodes. So thank you very much. See you on the next one.